Good evening, everyone. Naveen Ganglani here reporting for Rappler. We are live at the Araneta Coliseum where the Ateneo Blue Eagles just defeated the UP Fighting Maroons with a final tally of 65-55. Ateneo wins Game 2 of this best-of-3 UAAP final series to force a deciding Game 3 that will take place on Monday. A winner-take-all match for all the marbles between these two rivals from Katipunan. Now, before we break the game down and what happened, we have a special guest joining us right now, Mr. James Spencer of the UP Fighting Maroons. James, I know it was a pretty tough loss today. Maybe for some parts you guys were hoping today would be the day you guys would win the championship, but now you're going to have to play a Game 3. What was the mood in the locker room after the contest?
It was very quiet. Obviously, that's not what we planned on happening, but this is basketball, and thankfully we have another chance at it. So yeah.
After the contest, UP assistant coach Christian Luanzon mentioned that Ateneo's strong start carried them the rest of the way. James, do you feel that because of how you guys started, that kind of stayed the same pace the rest of the way, and that led to your defeat?
I think a strong start it's always very important. You're setting the tone for the whole game. I would say last game, Game 1, we set the tone, and this game, Ateneo set the tone. So, yeah, I think it's whoever throws the first punch has a really good chance at, winning the game.
From a player's perspective, what were the things now that you wish you and your teammates did differently when looking back on the game?
Looking back on the game, Ateneo applied that pressure to us, and moving forward, we're going to look to, do more in terms of, if we're denied, it's not just, we're denied. It's we got to do that extra bit to get open and, get off our man. So just little things like that, fighting through the pressure and being able to execute, having that willingness to.
Do you feel like the Fighting Maroons need to do a better job of distributing and moving the ball?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Last one before I let you go here. Anything you can tell us about Zave? Any updates? I believe he was walking on his own power after the game.
Look, it didn't look good for Zave, but I'm sure he'll be fine, and he'll get his scans, and he'll get looked after. We have good staff on the team that'll look after his whatever's happened with him. But yeah, I'm just praying for him at the moment, and yeah, hopefully he can be there on Monday.
Thank you so much for your time, James. We'll see you in Game 3. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you.
So, that's some good news if you're the UP Fighting Maroons. Zave Lucero did walk in his own power after hurting his knee in the second half of today's game. The injury, although we'd have to look again to confirm it properly, looked as if Zave bumped knees with an Ateneo player, and that kept him down on the floor. He had to be carried to the bench and then by his teammate Henry Galinato to the locker room before eventually going to the hospital to get further checks and assessment. Coach Christian Luanzon, assistant coach for the UP Fighting Maroons, who spoke to the media after the game, said that they're hoping for the best to see what the result will be tomorrow. So, how did Ateneo win the game? As James just mentioned, they came out with the emphatic first blow, similar to what the Fighting Maroons did to them in Game 1. Now, Ateneo shot 39.4% from the field. UP shot 31.8%. The Blue Eagles, aware of the Fighting Maroons' tendencies at this point, given how often both teams have faced each other, knew exactly which spots on the court UP wanted to operate in and did a good job limiting them from operating in those spots. The Fighting Maroons did, let's say, not do such a good job of moving the ball, at least compared to Game 1 this time around. Luanzon also mentioned after the contest that they will need to do a better job distributing the ball, getting better shot attempts if they want the chance to close this series out in Game 3. The biggest question, as we mentioned, however, is what is going to be the condition of Lucero. We know how important he is to the series, both on defense and offense. And if he is not able to go, who will carry the load for the Fighting Maroons? Interesting event happened a few days ago, 2 days ago, on Monday evening, in fact. Coach Tab Baldwin and his players, Ange Kwame, Sean Kiteves, and Kai Balungay shared that former Ateneo Blue Eagle players, particularly guys like Gian Mamuyak, Tyler Tio, the Nieto brothers, Isaac Go, Will Navarro, all of them visited practice. The players planned it themselves, visited practice without Tab knowing to inspire the current batch of Blue Eagles. By the way, Navarro, who recently suffered an ACL injury, was there as well. So, what was the message? Why did these former Blue Eagles make the effort to visit their current Blue Eagles? It was simple, according to Coach Tab, to preach the legacy of brotherhood. That was established by those Ateneo Blue Eagles who called themselves #BBob. That stands for Blue Eagles Band of Brothers, and they want to see the current batch of Ateneo players carry that legacy by performing that way on the court. Kai Balungay had 0 points in Game 1. Today, stepped up. 15 points and 7 of 10 shooting. Said he was inspired by the message that the former Ateneo player shared. But the best player for Ateneo today was Ange Kwame, the former UAAP MVP. Finished with 19 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks on 8 of 14 shooting. He looked like pre-injury Ange today. Hustling on the floor, blocking shots, getting interceptions cross-court, hustling for offensive rebounds, making baskets in the paint. Malik Diouf, UP's answer to Kwame, and now the reigning UAAP MVP, was limited by foul trouble and played only 16.3 minutes, finishing with 2 points on 1 of 2 shooting. Carl Tamayo led the Fighting Maroons with 15 points but on 6 of 14 shooting. Overall, it was not a good day for a UP team which had a crowd that looked like it was ready to celebrate another championship. But now, the Fighting Maroons will have to win Game 3 if they want to go back-to-back in the same year. Ateneo, Coach Tab Baldwin still believes that his team is the underdog, or rather are underdogs compared to past championship teams. But at this point, with only 1 game to win, for them to become champions once again, well, why not is his mentality. Why not them? Why not get that win? Why not believe that they are capable of doing it? And one thing is for sure, given how well Ateneo played today in Game 2, the Blue Eagles that we will see in Game 3 will be a batch of boys who are believing, or rather, who will be ready to believe that they can win it all. For Rappler, this is Naveen Ganglani. We'll catch you on Monday.